Hello, I'm Gary Lyon and welcome to Access All Areas. It was a dramatic round of footy and it finished last night with perhaps a Freo side reminding us all there's still a potent force. G'day to you, Damien Barrett.
Hey guys,
they certainly talk about.
Yeah, there is, and that Dockers certainly did remind us they're still in the flag hunt. We'll touch on them in detail pretty shortly, but let's start with a couple of teams that handled adversity in very different ways. Collingwood and GWS, both smashed with injury going into the game and during the game. And there's the tale of two very different stories.
I reckon that's a really good way to look at it, because Carlton were the other side that also struggled with injury. But this has happened either on the night or pre-game. We just thought we'd marry it up with the Greater Western Sydney's performance. Pendlebury a late withdrawal, obviously Elliott a late withdrawal. We put Lachie Whitfield into this and Jeremy Cameron by comparison of two similarly important players. But look, GWS's performance without Ward, Patton and Davis went down during the game. One on the bench, they go out and win by 64 points. And then you have a look at the Collingwood team and the way they dealt with it against the Brisbane Lions, who were also magnificent. They lost by 67 points.
And the opposition in the respective cases is comparable, isn't it? So, I mean, Collingwood was only playing Brisbane Lions and GWS obviously playing Melbourne.
You've been very generous, very generous. Brisbane Lions look like the Brisbane Lions of the early 2000s compared to Melbourne, to be perfectly honest.
But Collingwood allowed them to.
Well, Collingwood are an experienced side, and you've got GWS, who were magnificent under adversity, coming of age for them. They dealt with it in a really positive, proactive manner. So I thought it was an interesting way to look at it.
Jonathan Patton went down yesterday, guys, and he's going to be out for another year. Not just a real problem for the GWS team, but him personally. I mean, he's out of contract at the end of next year. The offers were already coming, and there was going to be a very sizable offer for him to even make the move this year. He's cost himself millions of dollars on this on the back of this second knee.
Look, personally, I park all that. I mean, it is a reality. It is financially, that is going to be an issue. But I park that. I just have great concern for the young man, and I feel for him today. I watched the game, and he went down. It was innocuous the way it happened. He's getting back to starting to impose himself on the competition. So I feel for him, and that will deal with it itself in time. But I just hope he can come back. I mean, he's obviously you're right off next year now. That's the hard thing for him to come back.
And you're right, he was coming through this year really well with the platform for 2015, and that's out the window. The Demons, guys, 21 points down at half-time, and there still seemed to be hope. But then they started the third quarter with performances like we're about to see now unfold, and it's dreadful stuff.
No, it's as bad as you could see. No dare, no urgency, no run, no idea in the end. That's what they were about. I mean, so at this stage, GWS had only one interchange rotation, but they just waltzed through. And look, I want to be really careful about not paying credit to GWS and Leon Cameron, because they were one down, their leaders were down, and I do see it as a coming of age, although I put a rider on it given the lack of urgency for this Melbourne side, and we'll talk about Paul Roos and what he's going to have to deal with. But I mean, no good showing the frustration now, Jack. It's too late. But they were magnificent. They overran Melbourne in the end with only one rotation. That was the most damning thing of all. And this is a footy club, Melbourne, that kicked 3 goals for the game against this side that had never won in Melbourne and never won at the MCG.
Talk about Paul Roos in a moment. Before we do, let's just take a look at how he reflected on what happened in that game against GWS.
Looks like they put the cue in the rack and thought, well, 4 wins is good enough for us, and we've improved. I think we're under no illusions where we were 12 months ago, and it's going to take a long time. It's a long haul, and today was a huge step back. Internally, certainly when I turned up, the club knew exactly where they were at. I don't think Peter Jackson ever sugarcoated that. So probably a reminder that how far behind we are and how much work we've got to do. If you've got an inability to hit targets, it's really hard to implement a game plan because you just can't execute the most basic skills.
Well, the challenge is the greatest coaching challenge of Roosie's life. I mean, to get a premiership for Sydney would have been a massive challenge.
No, this is bigger than that.
Had plenty to work with there, and now Paul goes to a side that's got diminishing stocks to work with.
It's a fail now, 2014,
well,
for him and that
wipes off the positives of the first half of the year.
It's a fail that's coming at $1.7 million this year and next year. I don't know about the third-year deal on the finances, guys, but that's a lot of money to be putting up that. And if you're only kicking 3 goals, something has to change pretty drastically pretty soon. Is there enough heat being put on him and the footy club?
Oh, the heat will come. It has to come after that performance. I mean, imagine if it was one of those, the Neeld or the Bailey or one of those sorts of coaches, you'd have the hangman's noose out. So the heat will come.
Do you agree it's a fail? in isolation, 2014 under Paul Roos?
No, I wouldn't say fail, because they've put themselves in positions that they weren't able to put themselves in recent times. But I mean, it does. The backward step that Roosie talked about was a very big backward step, and it takes away all the positives. And yeah, so over to you, Roosie, and good luck with that. I mean, it is a massive task ahead, no question about that. The battle for the 8 becomes.
Who makes it?
We're not going to go over this. I'm sticking with Adelaide. I think if you're in at this stage of the year, then it's yours to lose. I figure they're going to beat St Kilda in the last game, which gives them 44. I'm not sure Richmond will beat Sydney. And West Coast, well, they'll end up on 44, and it probably becomes a matter of percentage.
Yeah, I'm going for West Coast for that simple reason that they'll win those 2 games they've got, whereas Adelaide, you can only really lock
Gold
in the one.
Coast at Metricon Stadium in the last round is going to be a tricky assignment for them.
Yeah. Hey, Matty Pavlich, Gaz.
You wrote him off.
No, we did not. We said he was struggling, which he had been.
Don't say we, you did.
No, you did as well. He'd been knocked out effectively in 2 matches in a row, then had a pretty poor game against Geelong. But, gee, against the Hawks yesterday, unbelievably good.
Magnificent. Maybe exposed a little chink in Hawthorn's armour. One out defence might still be an issue for them.
Yep.
But the point we made last week, though, mate, at this stage in your life and your career and your age, these performances will not be the norm.
Right.
These will, he will still contribute, and he'll contribute next year, but every now and then he'll bob up. This is the first time he's kicked more than 4 for the year. He was great. We didn't write him off at all. We just stated the facts, and that is he's getting older, and that when you get to this stage in your career, you contribute in other ways, and every now and then you'll have a nice little 5-goal, 6-goal game.
Now, Walters is the key to this team. He came back and did enough to suggest he's going to be better for the run. Can they sort of seriously challenge? I know they've just beaten Hawthorn, but they've beaten Hawthorn in a home and away game.
Yeah, no question. Look, pressure was back. That was the thing that had Ross Lyon smiling last week at the end of the game against Geelong when he fronted that press conference. I think he saw it. We saw it franked yesterday.
So it's a racing for the flag.
Of course it is. No, it's great. And Sydney will play, if they looks like it's going to play for our first game, they'll be remembering that final last year in a big way. So no, it's great for the competition that they're back in the manner that they are. This side here, they're a wild card because they're never out of a contest. The Essendon Footy Club. They've done this over and over and over, so that is to be commended. Their resilience has been unbelievable in the face of great adversity. Yep. It was unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, we talked about adversity off the top of the show, didn't we? And we did a little bit left Essendon for a later part of the show just to give it its own little high point, Gaz. It was a huge performance. Dermot Burton, while commentating, felt the game was going the other way. We've all made some silly calls over our time. Hand up many times this year even. But Dermot, during the game.
This has the hallmarks of I won't say a big, 10-goal win. This could be a 100-pointer.
Been there, done that. But the only thing that I'd say on that was in that second quarter, as bad as they were, Essendon, they won the inside 50 count.
Yep.
So what they had to do was find a way to convert the inside 50s to goals. They did it through Winderlick and did it through giving a different look to the West Coast Eagles defence. They were superb, and they were led by a bloke called Dyson Heppel, who had as bad a half, I reckon, of his career in the first half in terms of lack of influence and the way he turned the footy over. He was really poor, and which means which gives even greater credence to his second half, because he said, "Get on board. I'll lead the way. You follow. 29 touches." Best on ground for mine, most influential player on the ground, which raises the Brownlow medal issue.
And you were saying he was, with his disposal in the footy, it wasn't up to his
No. Well, he and 22 other players, they just hacked the footy like you've never seen a team bash a footy and hand it back to the West Coast Eagles. They tidied it up, in which it's even more meritorious a performance.
As Darcy Gardner, I want to have you to have a look at this incident here. I don't know whether he's lost balance or he's actually taken a short one.
He didn't take a short one, he just panicked. He just was going back with the flight and he panicked. He didn't go hard enough, should have marked the footy, Travis Cloke told him.
And the reason we highlight it is because only moments later, or in the, not so much longer after that moment, he's then in the face of Tyson Gold. So do you have the right to put in a short one there or panic and then do that for
well, I admire him.
Game play?
I admire him because the easiest thing would be to skulk away, and he fronted up again and had a crack at it. So well done to him. The Brisbane Lions under Lepich have been a good story, Damo. They've had some adversity. Tom Rockcliffe, 100 game on the weekend. Now, this is staggering. This is since champion data started in 1999. That's the best 100 games statistically. 100 games in footy. And we always say Joel Selwood, the winningest and all those sorts of things. Well, that's even more reason to laud Rockcliffe. Look at that.
Has it crept up on you, that fact?
Yeah. 36 30-pluses and 5 40-pluses. That's more than, or nearly half his games is getting 30-plus possessions. That's extraordinary.
And that list of names there, as you can see. Goes, my man, Buddy Franklin, is he the most valuable player in the comp right now, round 21, 2014?
He's up there, isn't it? It's just, I mean, these bags of 7, 8, 9 are gone in footy these days, but it was obvious early that he was going to fill up, but and he could have had his 13
probably 3 or 4 short, wasn't he?
Yeah, 13 or 14.
This is the best one, the 9th.
Yeah, and this is the arrogance of him, you know, and arrogance in a good way.
Yep.
Because it means you've got faith in your ability.
Is he the MVP?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, I'll say that just to embarrass those that wrote him off earlier in the year as a distraction for that footy club. Not mentioning anyone.
We've been doing it in 2022 was my point.
Yes, he might be.
Yeah.
Now, listen, Carlton, unlucky. This is round 1. First time that these two teams met at Etihad Stadium. Umpires came out and said that should have been a free kick.
That's round 12, and they lost by a goal.
Yeah, I don't think it was a free kick.
Well, the umpires said it was. I'll go with the umpires.
Well, I don't. I go against them. You're going up to see them today.
I'll go with them again here because they also were to their credit, said that was an incorrect decision played to Christensen. And
not only an incorrect decision, in the back wasn't paid, but incorrectly overruled by the umpire who was closer to it. So
the umpire who was closer to was a 6-time grand final umpire, goes, and the one who overruled him was 50 metres away.
Well,
there's a problem in the system that allows that to happen.
Well, this is why you're going upstairs today and won't be back until Tuesday, and that is do not overrule, do not get involved unless you're absolutely certain. That was game and the balance stuff.
That's not a free kick.
No, well, it's not.
Hill has not hit Hibberd there in any. I'm sure he even touches him.
He hardly touches him, so that's not a free kick. And the game was in the balance, so that's okay. So that's one you can take up with them.
I'll take this
Dustin
one up
Martin,
too.
of course, in the dying moments of that game, gave a shove twice as hard, and that wasn't a free kick either. But this is the one I want you to go upstairs about and find out why this was overruled, Damo.
I don't know why.
Well, find out for me. That's the point, Damo. That's why you're here.
Well, we've got a problem with the AFL system, goes, of empowerment, that it makes the person sitting up in the stands in front of a TV think that he can overrule that decision. So the goal wasn't even called for review. The goal umpire had no doubt it was a goal.
Who are you going to see about this?
You might have to come up with me because I'm not having much luck on getting anything done out of these meetings.
I want you to go up and find out the process.
We spoke to Ricky Pittard yesterday, and he said that the players around that ball were convinced it was a goal. It was just a non-issue for them. Well,
the point being that, like the overrule in the Geelong-Carlton game, and the overrule there, if it's not blatantly obvious, don't get involved, Damo, which is why you're going to get involved.
Come up with me today.
Hey, not bad from you. A heads up, next week we'll be starting, first time for me, our wash-up video series. Damo and I will review every club, what went wrong, what went right, and how your team can improve in 2015. So keep an eye out for that next week. Here on AFL.com.au, we'll be back next Monday. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye.